welcome, Sanam, Hola. I hope that you are all doing well on this amazing, beautiful August 22nd, 2023, depending on where in the world you are. I happen to be in Sedona, Arizona, Pacific time, 11:30 a.m. when I'm recording this. And so much is happening globally on our planet, especially in the way of weather and global fires, wildfires that are burning at an astounding amount throughout the globe. It would appear like at least a third of the planet is on fire right now. And we haven't even stepped into the direct retrograde energy of Mercury yet. That actually comes tomorrow, August 23rd. And wait, hold on until August 30th. August 30th full moon is when we step into the energy shift. For 16 days, that tsunami wave of energy is going to come rolling in. So get your pro surfboards ready to surf that wave, friends, because it's going to be intense. And if you don't surf, then I tell you, buckle up, Buttercup, because this roller coaster is about to take off really soon. Some of the topics we're going to talk about today, of course, is some of the big stories and how they may relate to predictions and prophecy, along with past, present, and future new predictions as well, like we do every week. We're going to start off this week with talking about the WEF, the W and the E and the F. We call them WEF. Calling for Biden and others calling for Biden to declare a climate emergency. What exactly does that mean? Why are they pushing for this so hard? There's an agenda here, as we know. So is the dark underground puppeteers pounding? It seems like they're pounding on the United States with weather events, wildfires, and even Canada. Is this done on purpose in order to initiate what Spirit warned us was going to come in the past, climate lockdowns? We're going to talk about that in depth today, and we are still witnessing more and more horrors that are coming out, sadly, from the folks in the wildfires of Hawaii, as literally, again, the entire planet is literally ignited in flames. Wait until I show you the current maps of current wildfires. It's mind-blowing, along with more revelations today about the wildfire in Lahaina. I warned California that so much was going to come your way, friends in California. And, including my past visions, if you recall, of streets underwater in LA and even in Vegas. I had visions of such, both which, as you know, have been pounded by Hurricane Hillary. And their streets are underwater, or at least they were. So I told you all, you got to look back. You got to look out for that Hillary chick. You got to look out for that Hillary chick. And a little psychic humor for you. But while the streets in Southern California are turning into rivers, they were also hit with a 5.5 earthquake. That shook them up quite a bit, if you've seen any of the videos. And remember my vision of the Hollywood sign flying and falling over? And there were two meanings to that, a physical, literal meaning of the sign falling over, and another one indicating the fall of Hollywood. I was actually sitting back waiting for that to happen. I thought maybe that was going to happen. So if it didn't happen, then we know that there's more coming. So when could that possibly occur? Are those Hollywood letters going to come tumbling off the side of the mountain in the near future? So what more is to come, and when is it to come for our friends in California? While other visions that I had of mudslides and in floods in India and China are both coming into fruition, and China is literally getting pounded with one disaster and catastrophe after another. Perhaps, again, as if maybe it's weather warfare taking place and a strike against that country and occurring against them, and a counter strike coming back to the United States. It could really seem to appear that way, could it not? We know they have the technology, and you're going to be shocked when you hear the list of events that mass media, of course, isn't telling anybody about. Including China's mass media is not telling their own citizens about what is happening in their country, even though they can't avoid not knowing because it's happening throughout their country right now. And remember, Spirit told us that that China was going to be hit with some really rough karma in the near future. We are in that time of karma, as I told you all about. Good karma and bad karma. So not only is China experiencing these catastrophic events that are hitting them, but they're experiencing this really weird phenomena that keeps occurring and literally is happening right before every catastrophic event and right after every catastrophic event. Really strange, friends. Really strange. And even a dam burst in China. Remember my vision of waters bursting a dam? Well, that happened in China just recently. But again, will it happen again? Because chances are it's going to. And I'm going to talk about that. And honestly, more to come for China too, and for the entire planet. The climate and incoming warnings and with new predictions. Again, today, our main focus is going to be the climate. Incoming warnings coming from Spirit today. New visions that I have for the future is a huge part of today's discussion, along with my vision of the future leader of Russia. Talks about bringing back face masks and warning of rises in cases. Cases of what? Is this an oncoming pandemic push? Because some of the things that are going around rumor-wise is starting to seem that way. Are they just rumors? Walmart concentration camps. That's right. Walmart camps. I talked about that back in like 2009. And people are, your conspiracy, it's a conspiracy. Oh, well, no, it's truth now. We're going to just touch a little bit on that today. The new leader of Russia and what that may look like, and so much more on this episode, number 79 of Tuesday's Tittle Tea Time Predictions Updates. I'm Tittle, Joseph Tittel, that is, and I'm so happy that you are here with me today. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you want accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, you found the perfect tribe. Smash that there subscribe, my friends, and thank you for clicking that like button along the line. I want to thank all the supporters who make this free content possible for everybody. Those who are members of the community down below. Those who put through chat cash and other methods of contributions, and the members of my Awakening Your Spirit community. I am very grateful to all of you that we are able to do this together, because we are doing this together, and I couldn't do it without you. Thank you. Also down below, you'll find the link to my newsletter and the most recent newsletter. So if you want to know about Mercury retrograde and the do's and don'ts and what you need to be aware of, check out that newsletter down below. Along with my upcoming fall classes, you're not going to want to miss it. Whether you want to explore your past lives, connect with your guardian angels, or do intense ceremony, learning, shamanic journey, whatever it may be that you have, or maybe you want to transform into abundance. All down below in the newsletter with an early bird special discount you're not going to want to miss. So let's move on to first prayers to our friends in Hawaii. So can we start first, of course, sending lots of love and healing prayers to all those that are still suffering the enormous losses in Hawaii. And prayers to all of those, including those who have perished, the animals, the pets, that all, again, perished in this horrific tragedy in Hawaii, but also those that are happening globally on our planet, because it is happening globally. They're just not telling us it all. They're just shoving one story in our face to keep us away from all the other stories. I have a lot more to discuss today about the tragedy in Lahaina, but I'm going to wait till the end of the show to do that, because you might have heard a lot too much. Some people might be overhearing it, but there's still so much that needs to be talked about. So I'll save that towards the end of today's show. And if you missed my video that I did on Hawaii and the truth around the Hawaiian wildfires, you're not going to want to miss that video. If you keep your eyes right up here above, you will notice links that pop up above. Check out that link, and I'll have that Hawaii video pop up there for you so that you can check it out. You're not going to want to miss it. If you want to know the truth and what I totally am convinced is 100% truth, check out that video. Moving on. It's a time of cleansing, according to the spirits. Team Spirit. Have you met Team Spirit? You're part of Team Spirit, the tribe. Tittle tribe. Anyway, time of cleansing, because Spirit reminds me that we have just stepped into a cycle of a great cleansing upon the earth. A seasonal cleansing, so to speak, is how Spirit said. A seasonal cleansing, so to speak. That was Spirit's exact words. And this is only just begun. We only just stepped into it, according to my guides. So imagine what just happened in the past 2 weeks. If we only just stepped into this water cleansing energy, imagine what's yet to come. We see floods happening in China, India, United States, everywhere, Mexico. It's just happening, and we're only in the beginning stages. So imagine what more is actually possible. And of course, always count your blessings. That's the most important. Every day, count your blessings and always be prepared, because you never know what could happen or where it can happen or when it can happen to you. To keep you and your family safe. Spirit reminds me that the waters are all about cleansing and bringing out the toxins, which means that this is going to bring out the toxicity of people. So therefore, you're going to see sides of people that aren't necessarily going to be pretty. That happens a lot during retrogrades in general. But being there's this water energy coming in on top of the retrograde, I can't even imagine how cray-cray people are going to be. That's another thing. You're not going to want to miss my September predictions when I put them out at the last day of August. Always the day before the first of the month. Put out my predictions for the new month. But going back to the water, this brings out the toxicity in people, and it's going to force more darkness into the light. Therefore, another great flow of truth is coming our way, especially around global leaders and elite globalists. A reminder of the darkness from Spirit. I would like to point out to you all once again that the psychopathic puppeteers, whatever you want to call them, that are running the dark underground government that does exist, whether you believe it or not. I think more people definitely are believing it more than ever on this planet. But they are literally, these people believe that they are gods. And they do ancient ceremonies, like when the president does their inauguration. I've talked about it many times. That is an ancient ceremony from ancient Egypt, where they believe the god takes the form of the pharaoh. And same thing, the god takes the form of the president. So, they literally believe that's who they are. They believe they are gods. And more likely, maybe they're connected to the bloodline of the pharaohs. There's some people that have done content on that. Pretty convincing content, if I must say. And they do nothing more than they want to destroy everything that God has created in order to create their own hellish world, which are doing a pretty good job on it, it appears. They rip apart the lungs of our earth, which is the forest, by deforestation. And now there are new weapons of mass destruction that may be possible for bringing about these crazy global fires everywhere. They pollute the blood of the earth, which is her waters. They want you to be confused about who you are, what you want to be. And this is all the opposite of God's creation. That's what they want. They want you to be lonely. They want you to be vulnerable. They want you to be in fear. And they want to make their evil takeover by their demonically possessed people that sold their souls, if we want to even call them people, that, again, they wish to destroy God. They wish to destroy Jesus and all your freedoms and all the religions on the planet globally, so that they can, again, go into their complete enslavement of those who are the unfortunate ones to survive their wrath of evil, which we will, because we will win. The light will win in the end, as I've been telling you from the beginning. And it's going to be lots of doom and gloom. All the prophecies talk about it. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. A new world and new earth for our children, your grandchildren, and so forth. Something to look forward to. So let's move on. A topic that we sure could all agree is important right now, and that is climate or weather. At least they're making us feel that that's the most important. That and cow farts, of course. This week, the WEF, the W and the E and the F, is calling for Biden, along with others, to declare a climate emergency. What exactly does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean that it'll allow them to release federal funds to help those in need. But if you remember the agreement that they were pushing towards the United States and many other countries agreed to, that during certain catastrophes, the World Economic Forum can come in and take control of everything. So, is a climate emergency important? What he should be doing is taking those billions of dollars being sent to another country and go into Maui and rebuild Lahaina. Rebuild it for them. They could with that money, but they won't. Of course not. So, is this part of the dark underground puppeteers, masking away behind their dark underground government with causing events to occur, especially when it comes to weather? Think about it. If you control the weather, you control the world, was once told to us back in the 50s, actually, by somebody in the military. I don't remember, but it's been said many times over the decades. And they learned to do that because we started cloud seeding back in the 50s. So they have great technology, as we know. And if you watch my Maui video, you know about the technology that exists that could cause things like the fire to occur. So anything's possible, and these are definitely highly possible. So is that what's actually happening? Because, it's really hard to blame a fire. You know what I mean? It's hard to pinpoint it. It's easy to get away with, I guess, in their minds. So, just saying. So, I had a brain fart. Here's an article, because this is what they're saying about calling for a climate crisis in the United States. Biden faces calls to declare climate emergency as he heads to Maui. As President JB prepares to visit Maui, the Hawaiian island devastated by the deadliest wildfire in U.S. modern history, lawmakers and climate groups are begging the White House to do more to prevent future climate-related disasters. How are you going to prevent it? Well, you could start by sounding the sirens that you spent millions to put into place that never went off. The argument, if the latest environmental catastrophe won't spur the president into action, what will? Nothing. Ice cream, that'll spur them into action. Give them some ice cream. The fire is likely sparked by the island electricity utility. Again, I don't even need to read any more of that, because, again, go watch the Hawaii video if you really want to know what happened. The whole point here is calling for a climate emergency. They will once again blame humans, as they do, for all the disasters, all the wildfires that are happening globally, instead of blaming the corporations who've been polluting and putting toxins into the water and the air for generations. They won't blame them, of course not. They want to do all this so that they can, again, call for a climate emergency in order to bring about what I predicted a few years ago: climate lockdowns. That is what they're working towards. Lock you down. And here's the whole point. As I'm working on a video on the Hopi Blue Star and Red Star Kachina prophecy. And with that coming into fruition, which I truly believe will happen before the end of this decade. So again, all the more reason to subscribe down below, because I will be doing a future video on that. I've been working on it for a while. It's going to be really complex, detailed, with all the ancient prophecies aligning to what's going to happen in the date that I believe it is going to happen. I will release that video in early September. I should have it done by then, in a couple weeks. So anyway, that's what their plan is maybe to lock us down so that when the red star does appear in the sky, people don't freak out. People are going to freak out anyway. It'll be all over social media. Just like the Bible says, there will be signs in the skies and nobody will miss it. Everybody will see it, no matter where you are on the planet. So really interesting. So the full moon that's coming on August 30th will be the third super moon in a row. And then there's a fourth one coming at the end of September, the 28th, 29th. So this will have a above normal effect, according to Spirit, on the oceans. Because full moons, of course, have an effect on the oceans and the tides. But Spirit said it would have an above normal influence on the waters and on the tides of the oceans, along with the Earth's tectonic plates as well, above normal. So therefore, Spirit says the heavier the ocean tides, there's already going to be heavier ocean tides, topped off by one tropical blow after another, is going to bring massive coastal flooding of rivers. And yes, at least one more dam that's going to be washed away from the waters. Probably another one in Japan, or China, actually. Well, Japan just slipped out of my mouth, so maybe it will be Japan. I hope not, but I don't hope it's for anybody. I hope it doesn't come into fruition, actually. But we already are seeing this occurring on some level with the waters and the high waters. But Spirit warned me that so much more is to come within the United States and globally. So the final day of the 16-day energy shift that begins on the 30th ends on September 14th's new moon. This will also include the direct Mercury retrograde in Virgo influences that are happening as well. However, we will linger in that Mercury retrograde, even though that ends on the 14th, same day as the energy shift. Kind of interesting. We'll still linger in the post-shadow of that Mercury retrograde for the rest of the month of September. So the 14th of September is a date to watch very closely. Actually, the entire week of the new moon falling in the middle. So we're going to say the 11th of September through the 17th. I will have more details on this, of course, in my September prediction video coming out on the 31st of this month. Massive flooding and earthquakes. So remember that my warnings and visions of floods in India. Well, India has been totally like wiped out with severe flooding that has caused mountainsides to literally peel away like bananas. Just big old slides. Wild video that I watched of that. Spirit shows me significantly sized earthquake is going to hit India as well soon, causing quite a bit of devastation as more floods bring about more rescue efforts. So prayers to those in India. I think prayers for the world, because I think we're all going to be hit one way or another during this time period coming up. As far as weather, earthquakes, global events, but also global events like political stuff. No country is safe from the brunt of this tsunami wave of energy that's coming. But remember, it's washing away. Remember what Spirit said. Washing away the old, clearing away the toxins. So when we rise out of this, we will rise like the phoenix out of the ashes. So water and floods, going back to the floods, more severe flooding and rescue efforts in India. But water and floods, as I said long ago, are going to be a major concern and an issue as we move out of the summertime and head towards the equinox. And then, of course, on the other side of the planet, they're moving out of winter, going into spring. So they're going to be experiencing a lot with these floods and such as well. Remember, again, the waters wash away the old to make way for the new. So there should be new beginnings and new things that open up when this whole mess comes to a close by the time we get into October, November. And then, of course, into the new year as well. Water is a huge thing. Of course, water is life. So water is life. Remember, I talked about water wars. That's coming in the future. I think it's already kind of happening. Look at how they held the water from the fires in Hawaii. That's like a war to me. That's like an act of war, holding water from somebody. It's an awful thing, awful thing. Here comes the trash truck. Hopefully you won't hear this. But if you do, I'll talk louder. Because it's a great microphone, thanks to Linda and myself. I lost my spot now because of this darn trash truck. Oh, okay, going back to water. So aside from floods, you can look forward to, not really to look forward to, but you can get ready to witness that there's going to be lots of things concerning boats and ships. Incidents, accidents, including storms that are going to cause boats to turn, ships to shipwreck, and a huge ship losing its goods overboard. I had a vision of that. It's happened in the past, so it was like seeing that vision again of the boat rocking and all these shipping containers flying off the ship, which is so sad. That ocean is just, it's so sad what they dump into that ocean purposely and by accident, and then they leave it there. But I saw this vision of ships losing their goods, which, again, Spirit says they'll use that as a way to push for their shortage agenda. Shortages and shortages, which we've been talking about for a long time now. And we're seeing it, and we're going to start seeing it more soon. So we're likely going to see the disappearance of a ship and disappearance of several boats. This is going to be, of course, a global event, as everything is right now. But also, I see something happening on the East Coast of the United States. On the East Coast of the United States, I saw a vision of large searches taking place. You know, big spotlight searches, and it looked like a large news story because I saw a lot of press people there. So, you know, people glued to their TV, you know, for the story with little hope of whoever is gone returning. Very little hope is what Spirit made me feel. Storms and weather are going to affect airlines and airline flights. So expect many groundings to take place and hundreds of flights due to weather events. And again, this is going to affect the entire globe. So more reported turbulence on flights. And you know, during retrograde isn't a great time to fly if you're in a hurry. It's not a good time to travel if you're in a hurry because retrograde causes nothing but delays and problems, and electronics and motorized stuff break down and go haywire. And again, if you want to know all about the retrograde energy, check out the latest newsletter down below. So storms grounding hundreds of airlines, and we're going to also hear about a lot more reported turbulence than normal, including turbulence that causes several injuries on an airplane. So I do tell you, as the airlines does, keep your seatbelts fastened, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to take off. Anyway, I have been warning California for some time, as you know, and even Vegas, and the visions I had of both of them, which are now being totally slammed by Hurricane Hillary, and the floods. But Spirit shows me so much more is going to hit California, as I also feel the largest of quakes in decades will also shake up Californians by the end of the year. If not by the end of the year, which would be shocking to me, then I'd say definitely by early 2024. A date that jumped out at me for some reason, besides late September, early October, but the date October 10th popped in my mind, which is the day of Mama's passing. May God bless you, Mama, in the heavens. So October 10th. Now, not that that's necessarily the earthquake hitting California. I mean, it could very well be because this all came to me at the same time, but look for the date October 10th. And look for, again, a major quake to hit different parts of California. And I feel like California is going to be hit with at least three significant, one bigger than the rest, of course. And the bigger of the rest feels lower to me, and lower is probably near LA. So I'm feeling like this is big. Keep an eye out for this big event. So also in my August predictions, I warned that Puerto Rico, our friends in Puerto Rico, and other islands would endure major power outages, high winds, and floods, likely from a hurricane. Well, I know that there's some major tropical activity happening right around that area now, but Spirit reminded me of this, and me talking about this, I think, in my weather predictions. So again, if Spirit's reminding me of a past prediction, that usually means that either I'm getting more details about it or it's soon to come into fruition. So prayers to all the islands in the Caribbean. Big prayers to them, really important, because we already have so much activity, like I said, forming in the Atlantic and globally. Spirit reminded me of this warning to our friends in Puerto Rico about the power outages and such, to be prepared for that, which sadly means, again, this is approaching sometime soon. Also, in August predictions, I warned Vegas of major flooding. So Spirit says that there's more to come for them as well. And again, of course, California and Northern California. Because Spirit gave me this feeling from Mother Earth, or Mother Nature saying, I hit the South and soon I will hit the North next. Or the North will suffer the same wrath as the South. That's what she said. The North would suffer as much wrath more wrath than the South. So floods coming up to you in Northern California. And the earthquake too, probably back to back, which is really interesting. There's got to be an explanation for that. What high water is affecting the tectonic plates. I mean, I don't know. I'm not no expert, but I'd be interested to think and know. I'm sure it's possible. Anyway, California, beware, friends, beware. Northern California. The Philippines comes to mind, and that just flooded my mind last night, actually. With severe weather, and not like Hawaii has enough to deal with already, but I see some more climate issues coming to Hawaii and the islands. Not necessarily the big island, or because there's many islands in Hawaii, but I do see them starting off with dealing with floods. Some of those floods could very well be in the area where the fires were. But also, Spirit gave me a feeling that a significant volcanic eruption is going to disrupt travel in Hawaii. This could be not necessarily now coming up in September, but this could be actually December, because we have another energy shift in December. And of course, a retrograde in December, or early into 2024. But I saw something pretty significant in the way of volcano happening at Hawaii. Now, of course, Hawaii has lots of volcanoes, and volcanoes are always erupting. But again, this would have to be high level, something important. And again, going back, I see storms in all around the islands, Puerto Rico, Haiti, major flooding and outages in Haiti and the Haitian islands. Remember, I kept getting memories of the Haitian earthquake. Remember, Spirit kept telling me that, showing me that. I was comparing it to something else, different place, but this could be part of it. They may also endure this earthquake type of event. So prayers to our planet, friends. Prayers to our planet. So before I move on, I want to remind you that on Thursday evening, I will be doing the live Q&A, answering the questions that you have asked live right here on YT. So be sure to check that out. If you have questions, leave them in the comments down below. Although I do believe I have enough questions to cover the show already. But again, I'll save them for future shows. We'll be doing Q&A at least once a month. Let's talk about China and what's happening with them, and of course, Raw. Raw. Flip it around, friends. I'm going to call it Raw instead of calling it by the name that equals conflict. I'd rather use Raw. But remember Spirit's warning about China, along with messages from Spirit telling us that we would be witnessing karma on a mass level happening globally. Both good karma and bad karma. So, and we have been witnessing that, and I've seen it with certain people that are receiving karma of some sort. Again, both good or bad. So that was interesting that Spirit said that, and we are going into a heavy level of people receiving karma, and a big wave of karma that's here, but that wave is getting bigger. Again, positive and negative. But I also want to remind you that years ago, I did a channeling message from Mother Earth. And in that channeled message, and I'll try to remember to put it up here so that you can check it out, narrated by a friend of mine. But in that message, she said that she would strike places where darkness hides and resides, to pay attention to where certain events occur. That's what she told us. And this was years ago, probably at least 6 years ago, I think, 5 years ago. It was before I lived out here in the West. So, well, anyway, this is probably the case when it comes to China right now, because the Chinese are experiencing complete apocalyptic times unlike anything any of us have ever seen all at once. It could almost appear as if there's a battle happening, a raw happening, a conflict in China, except there's no outside military presence in China. So could this actually be a conflict that is unseen but seen, if you know what I mean? But let's first take a look at the apocalyptic type of events and the crazy weird phenomena that's happening in China. Last week I told you that Beijing was underwater, and the streets of Beijing turned into literally raging rivers, and the CCP wasn't reporting on this to the Chinese people. But now pretty much all of China is experiencing some type of catastrophe. We know all about the California floods that were accompanied by the earthquake, while the Chinese experienced the same exact fate in some parts of China, where floods were followed by a 5.5 quake, which caused buildings to crumble. Isn't that what California got to, a 5.5? Come to think of it, I think they did too. So that's a 5.5 in California and a 5.5 in China. The one in China actually, again, caused buildings to crumble. Very fragile infrastructure that they have in parts of China, as we do here in the United States. So what makes this event even creepier is the odd phenomenon that the Chinese people are reporting that are occurring right before and right after these major events, floods, earthquakes, and all kinds of other stuff, mostly involving swarms of swallows. You have to check out the videos. It's pretty wild. Just swarms of these birds, swallows, just going crazy, like in chaos, flying around in a chaotic energy. It's really interesting. That's not all of it. There's all kinds of things. People are reporting swallows' behavior, locusts, and swarms of locusts, as we know the Bible talks about. This one was really creepy. The video of the nocturnal. Remember, bats are nocturnal. They don't come out during the day. In the middle of the daytime, bats crawling all over the streets, all over the pavement, and all over the trees. Really bizarre. Carp, the fish, carp, I'm not familiar because I don't know if they have carp globally, but carp were jumping out of the water, like endlessly just jumping out of the water. And then soon after, thousands of them ended up floating ashore dead. There's been all kinds of insect infestations that are happening there. Not only that, their moon turned blood red right before one of these events and right after one of these events occurred. And in some parts, the skies turned this ominous pink color. All this happening in China while they were hit with EF tornadoes, several EF tornadoes. August 9th is when the swallows were flying chaotically in the sky, and then soon after they had the second earthquake. China has been nailed with coastal typhoons, earthquakes, and so many natural disasters, unlike anything that we are being told about. I'm surprised because, they love to push the climate thing down our throats and blame us. So you would think they'd be telling us what's happening in other places, but they're not. They're only telling you about certain things. Well, at least that's what it's like in the United States. I don't know, because we have, watchers and subscribers all over the planet. So I don't know. Tell us down below in the comments. I'm always curious to see what you got to say and what they're reporting in whatever country that you happen to be viewing from. So not only that, another really odd occurrence happened when flooded cornfields. This was really weird. Flooded cornfields all of a sudden started to bubble up and boil like boiling water. Then soon after, all these holes started to form all over China with bubbling water with steam or smoke coming off of it as if the water was hot. What is up with that? So insect swarms, and again, a total destruction of their rice fields, their agriculture. So all this on top of China's largest real estate company collapsing into bankruptcy. So Spirit telling us a while back, maybe even in January, that China was about to get hit with a massive wave of bad karma, their bad karma coming back on them. Well, that definitely seems to appear to be the case. Remember also, a while back, Spirit told us in January, I believe, that we would witness weapons that have never been previously witnessed, things that we didn't know existed. And so we know about one of the recent whistleblowers who came out and spoke about the earthquake causing technology that caused the Christchurch, New Zealand earthquake that secretly held at the South Pole, not so secret anymore, which is 100% believable because, of course, they're trying to debunk the guy and say he's not real because, yeah, of course they want to do that. But he's still alive, which makes me question the whole theory, too. I believe he's still alive, but it's all very believable. So how could you not believe, honestly, that the technology isn't more advanced than what you could ever even possibly imagine? We already know they reverse engineered flying UFOs and discs, especially the big pyramid ones, the triangle ones you see. They're the governments. They're strictly the governments. They're not outer space aliens. Some of them are, but not the triangle ones. They're 100% the government, dark underground government. So that government consists of many dark, evil, globalist elite, unfortunately. So going back to this technology, so all these events that are happening in China, causing them to maybe go on a counterattack as to what happened in Hawaii. Just think about it for a moment, friends. I mean, it's just potentially possible. I'm just putting it out hypothetically. There could be a great third conflict, the WW conflict of the third, without saying it. That's probably already happening. Actually, it really is already happening. But are they using technology that we're not aware of? Is that what's happening? An attack towards the Chinese and now an attack happening in Canada and in United States? It seems that way. You got to also remember my previous feelings that there was going to be an attack on Hawaii and Alaska. We haven't seen anything in Alaska yet, knock on wood, but I did say that. So it's something to think about, friends, something to think about. So now all these events that are happening and hitting China, is this going to cause China to become desperate and then go on the attack? Like going after, of course, Taiwan first. As I said, they will do eventually. And I'm thinking that's coming up soon, maybe September, October. Taking control of North Korea thereafter and igniting a true great conflict of the third. So although it appears to me anyway that conflict, like I said, already started. And it's more of a different type of conflict. And I believe that conflict, that world conflict, has begun back in 2020 with the bug. Because that was a act of war, in my opinion and in my feeling, on humanity. A war against humanity. Anyway, so that's what it seems like to me. And that's what it really, on an intuitive level, feels like to me. But you always be the judge, of course. You are entitled to your own feelings and opinions, but definitely listen to your own intuition. Now, this seems to have shifted from 2020 now, it's just all shifted to weather. It's almost like climate warfare type of conflict that is secretly being held again beneath our noses as a ploy, again, using this at the same time as a ploy to enslave us on a deeper level. Because that's what they want, of course. And we need to not fall into their submission. We must not submit. Because that's what's going to happen. Because they are going to enact or attempt to enact new laws governing the climate and the whole planet. These new laws are going to be their way of, again, enslaving us on a deeper level and calling for a new type of locking us down type thing, like climate lockdowns, for example. These events are very, very likely to be created. So especially these laws. And then they're going to do it exactly for that reason, because the WEF has been pushing for that for a while as they're pushing Biden to declare an emergency in the way of the climate. Interesting times that we are in. And they are definitely orchestrating things based on weather. They're using that because people fear the weather. As you should. Fear Mother Earth's wrath. Because, it's not man you need to be afraid of. It's Mother Earth you need to be afraid of. She is our mother. Our mother brought us here. She could take us out. Anyway, my question is, so if we are locked in our homes again because of climate events that are occurring, what happens when an earthquake hits? What are we supposed to do when the earthquake hits? Stay inside our house and let it collapse on top of us? Or what if all of a sudden the flash flood comes and starts rushing into our house? Are we supposed to stay inside and drown? I'm just curious. Think about this. If that ever does come into fruition and they lock us down based on events that are happening, what if your home's not safe? What if it's not safe to be there? Just saying, again, hypothetically speaking, of course. Let's move on to Russia. A little prediction. Here's some predictions for you before we go and talk about, I got a bunch of stuff here, actually. Forgot. But we're going to start with Russia, because Spirit told me in the future, we will have a female leader who will rule with a golden fist, according to Spirit. If Spirit said golden fist instead of, we heard the usual ruling with an iron fist, Spirit didn't say iron fist. Spirit said ruling with a golden fist. So that simply, to me, means we need to interpret that a little bit differently. So I took the golden fist personally as being a good thing for not just Russia, but for the world. Gold, it's golden. I feel like she's a golden leader if they're showing me a gold fist. As gold would be a treasure, and therefore she would be a treasure that rules the country very well and that benefits everybody. Now, remember what Edgar Casey said in his predictions, prophecies, that in the future that Russia would actually end up being the hope for the world. Well, we know that ain't happening currently, not at all, not even with the leader that's there now. Definitely not happening. But I'm thinking that it's this female, because I highly doubt that Casey's referring to the current leader. Like I said, as I stated in the past, he's not going to be there much longer anyway. Well, he'll be there long enough, but he'll be out within the next few years. And Spirit told me when I said when I was, typing this up and said he'll be out within a few years, Spirit said that's still not soon enough. Spirit likes to have a good sense of humor. Still not soon enough. So I see a vision of several outbreaks occurring on cruise ships. This is the season of outbreaks, friends. We are going into flu season and such. But this one's going to be bad. And they're going to, again, try to use that as a way to instill fear. So therefore, in certain professions and certain things, they will bring back masks during the holiday season between December and February. It won't last long, says Spirit, so no worries. Spirit says it won't last long, but they will initiate that in certain things, in certain professions. Probably like, maybe airplanes again. Great. Back on airplanes, they're going to make you wear a mask on airplanes again, says the Spirits. All airplanes? Most airplanes, but not all airplanes. So yeah, probably the private ones, you don't have to. But on all the other ones, you probably do. So going back to outbreaks, again, it's going to be a severe season, a severe outbreak. And I think it's just going to be a worse flu season than ever. Whether they try to use the old COVID as a push or not, I don't know, but it will be a serious, threat to be aware of. Not to be in deep fear about, but to be aware of. Is my camera moving every time? My apologies. I got to stay still. My apologies. I forgot that it's on the table now. Totally forgot. So yeah, several outbreaks that are going to include cruise ships. Cruise ships. And Spirit just said somebody's holiday cruise isn't going to go so well. So we can look for this during the holidays, of course, between November and December, or November and January 1st. But I don't feel like we have to wait that long, actually. I feel like something's coming up in September, which in one case, mass media, of course, is going to use this to promote some type of new fear, is what Spirit told me. So I don't know what's happening on one cruise ship, but they're going to utilize that as a push. So we need to watch to see what that will be exactly. What will that be exactly? And I'll talk more about it when that does, and hopefully it doesn't, but when it does come into fruition. Spirit warns us to be aware and beware. Be aware and beware. I had a similar vision in the past, but Spirit shows me once again a vision of the United Nations troops and their vehicles on the move. I had a vision of that. Actually, it was days ago, and I took note of it. But where exactly? That's the question. I feel sadly some of this is probably likely going to be in Africa, but I feel sadly something we're going to be seeing more and more of in the near future is United Nations and their army of darkness coming like saviors, when in reality, they are doing the exact opposite. It's more like a UN takeover, and you're going to start to witness that. Probably coming up really soon, I would imagine. And then definitely into 2024 and 2025. So some dates to look and pay attention to. Look for anything coming on the date the 29th, of course. And anytime you see a big storm, hurricane, or anything heading towards anywhere on the date the 29th, you know that it's going to be bad. Bad. It's an 11-day. 11 days increase the chances of something being catastrophic. It's like Hurricane Sandy, Hurricane Katrina, all came in on an 11-day. That would be the date, the 11th of any month, and the 29th. So the 29th that's coming up, definitely a time. This could be when my vision of these two storms coming together as a massive, like category 5 or 6 storm, that could happen around the 29th or September 11th, down those two periods. Also, not only just the 29th and the 11th of September, but also the 14th of September is a date that Spirit told me to keep an eye towards. 14th. I'll get more information about that, hopefully for my September predictions. So yeah, cases are on the rise, is what they're saying, going back to breakouts, and they seem to be pushing for a new push, like a pandemic. It seems like it's being pushed, or not even that. They're talking about the new things. That's a big push too. Off that subject, I tell you from Spirit, don't worry about it. Don't go into fear about it. It's not going to be that bad. So Florida fires. I had visions of fires in Florida, Texas fires, and Texas fires that have something to do with oil. Now, I wasn't sure or clear what Spirit was showing me, but I do remember in the past I had visions of massive oil fires. I don't necessarily at all think that's going to be in Texas, and I hope not. I think that's overseas without a doubt, and probably in the Middle East. But fires and immigrants somehow connected to this. Maybe them being the cause of setting these fires. Remember I said in the past, war in Texas, a war between people in Texas. Hopefully that don't happen. It might even be happening now and we're not aware of it. Just like the Walmart concentration camps. Another thing that people aren't aware of. That was a conspiracy back when Obama was president. And I remember doing videos and them being deemed completely, no longer being monetized. This was way back in 2009. I'm pretty sure it was 2009. Might have been 2000. I forget what year it was, but it was way back. Because it was when the small Walmarts were shutting down and the big Walmarts were going in place. And some of these small Walmarts, especially in Texas and other places too, were being closed off, but construction crews were going in and keeping people far away. Then it was caught on video by several people that they were building what looked like cages inside. So this became out as a big story. I did, again, a video on it. And we were all called conspiracy theorists. Oh, that's conspiracy. And back then people did believe that Obama was going to lock people up and throw them in these cages. I did not necessarily at all believe that, but I knew they were going to be used for something. Just like the big FEMA camps that are built globally. There's one in Alaska that can hold 1 million people. They have stocked these camps up. They have people there guarding these camps. Why are they there? They were built during the Bush administration. Talk about shady people doing shady things, killing your own American people. Oh, that's shady, shady, shady. Beware of these camps. But here's what just came out again. You can find this on the Redacted News channel. They did a piece on this. I think it's called Walmart Concentration Camps. In Texas, again, it's been caught where they have such high security around these Walmarts, you can't get nowhere near it because they don't want you to get inside and see what people are reporting is happening. Kids in cages. No adults. All kids. Folks, this all has to do with getting little ones all caught up in traffic, if you know what I mean. And they are. It's all being, these people are just out of their minds completely. But it's happening. And I wanted to just mention that today. Go to Redacted News channel here on YT and you can watch the video about it. I just thought I'd mention it today because it's sad. And prayers to those poor little ones who need prayers. They need more than prayers. They need a savior. Maybe Tim Ballard can go in and save them. Or his crew. I'm sure they're probably working on it behind the scenes. I saw, again, China is being nailed with one catastrophe after another, while sadly, we know what happened in Hawaii already as well, and what the majority of folks actually believe the truth actually is. So was this again a counterstrike from China to the United States and perhaps even Canada, a strike against Canada, which could be the case? What could be next? Definitely keep an eye out for these things, and all the more reason, again, to pay attention to my September predictions, because I'll be working on them soon, so that's next week. What else did I want to tell you? There was something else. Oh, I just drew a blank. Oh, and again, if you missed my Antarctica, not my Antarctica, but yeah, if you missed that, that's not the one I was going to mention. My channeled predictions I did last week. A lot of you missed that. A lot of you missed the Hawaii video. Check them out. And again, you'll see the links pop up above at some point during this video. Channel predictions I will do again. I will probably do the meditation the coming weekend and put that out again the first week of September. Because this week we have today, Tuesdays, of course. I'm here every single Tuesday. We have the Q&A on Thursday. Next week we have Tuesday, and then we have Thursday is the September predictions. I try to do at least 2 a week, sometimes 3 when I can. So what's really wild about wildfires is how many there actually are right now. Wildfires have even broken out on the Canary Islands. I want to show you this map. This comes from NASA. Yes, NASA. And this is a map of wildfires. This is just over the past day, which doesn't look so bad, but there are a lot, as you can see on the map. But let us move on to the last week and watch the change. Look at that, friends. Unbelievable amount. It literally appears like a quarter of the planet has burned. But watch when we go to 30 days. 30 days and watch. Wow. Unbelievable. Look at that. Unbelievable how many wildfires. It's just getting more and more. Look, it takes a moment to locate them all. But wow, that looks like more than 50% of the planet burned according to the NASA map. That is just absolutely astounding, friends. Sadly, we all know, again, the pain and suffering that's happening to the poor people in Lahaina. But we are also aware that, again, as I just showed you, there are thousands of fires, thousands and thousands of acres and lives being ruined from wildfires all over Canada and all over the globe. South America, North America, Asia. Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't seem like you're safe at all from all this stuff that's happening. The entire globe is literally, like, shockingly burned. So here's some things about Lahaina. in Hawaii. I did a video again. If you missed that video, go back. You gotta watch that video because I show you some pretty shocking evidence and some videos from a particular company that can make such a thing happen if they want it to. We talked about Mountain Dew in that video, but one of you pointed out in the comments that DEW also is the abbreviation for what I talked about. DEW. DEW is direct energy weapons. What about Oprah showing up at the shelters with her camera crew? And she was denied access, but she still got access without her camera crew. But conveniently, somebody was there to record her on their cell phone so that she can use that as a prop, as mass media is pushing the Oprah narrative instead of actually focusing on the truth of what should be happening. She's always got to get her face in there. While Obama says, and this alarmed people, not that it means something, but he says, we are laser focused on helping the people of Lahaina. We are laser focused. So there's all kinds of insurance infractions. And did you know that Zuckerberg actually sued the native people to take their land? And he owns more land in Hawaii than the actual government of Hawaii owns themselves. Interesting, right? All those homes, all those mansions were untouched. Untouched. Why were there trees, still standing? Completely fine. And what's with the blue stuff? Did you notice the blue stuff that survived? The blue car that's completely fine. The blue umbrellas. Shouldn't umbrellas melt? Is there something with blue not burning? Kind of a little strange, huh? But the tree's not burning. That's even stranger. If cars are melting, literally the aluminum melted completely onto the ground. But the tree, 50 feet away, still standing with leaves on it. Something not right here, friends. And you know it. Everybody knows it. The whole world knows it. But what are we going to do about it? That's the question. What the heck are we going to do about it? Here's something that I forgot to put in my video that I remembered. I don't know how I remembered, but I just remembered. Remember the green lasers over Hawaii? Remember, this was all during the Chinese spy balloon stuff. And then there were, around that same exact time, and the UFOs being shot at from the United States, there were these green lasers appearing straight down from, obviously, a satellite or a drone, right down to Hawaii. Now, I'm curious to our friends in Hawaii, not that they have time to watch this, but or anybody that knows exactly where those green lasers were pointing. I'd be curious to know that. But there's no coincidence there, friends. And like I said, is this a new form of warfare? Was it, people think it's a global elite, but how do we know it wasn't actually China? Because China's being nailed. Why not counterattack? Because if we have that technology, guarantee China has it. No doubt. No doubt at all, right? So the green lasers over that, it could very well be. Just, again, hypothetically speaking, you be the judge and let me know in the comments down below. Developers spoke for the government in Hawaii. They did this little meeting, right, where developers came and spoke, and they were pushing the agenda to eliminate building permits, so they can quickly develop and build homes for purchase. Not for the people who live there, but to purchase. Right? Their governor. And how about the guy that resigned after not sounding the sirens? Yeah, tell me he wasn't forced to resign. He didn't even feel bad about it when you watched the video. And he was holding back water from residents. So Hawaii's own website actually states that sirens in the EBS, the Emergency Broadcast System, is to be used for incoming tsunamis, hurricanes, brush fires, dangerous lava flow, and terror-related attacks. Because, some comments, especially a couple trolls are, oh, you're wrong, and they only sound that for tsunamis. That's not true. Go right to the Hawaii government's website. They tell you what they're supposed to be sounded for. Including a comment that said that I was ridiculous, suggesting that Biden only gave them $700 a person or gave them anything in general. That is a fact. he stood up and even spoke about it, saying we're going to help them to buy medicines or whatever they need for now. I call it the $700 insult from the Biden administration, while requesting at the same time another $40 billion for the UKR. They can rebuild that whole Lahaina, probably for that amount of money, maybe even less. But no, see, that's what, if I was the president, that's what I'd be doing. I'd be like, no, we're rebuilding our country, our infrastructure. Forget, if they want war over there, let them fight their own war. That's just none of our business. Stay out of it. Take that money and help Americans with that money. I mean, for goodness sakes, it's Americans' money as it is. Why can't we use that to help our own people? That's just what really ticks me off. Remember what happened in Ohio, too. And the land grab that happened in Ohio, if you're not familiar, because they shut that story down pretty quickly afterwards, right? You don't really hear anything about the the Ohio disaster, because that was a national disaster as well. Complete disaster. What happened to Ohio? What happened to those people? Besides, their land got grabbed up by a couple corporations. That's a fact. That happened also to be a time where Biden completely ignored the suffering of those residents in Ohio. But now he says he's going to Hawaii, which they're probably making him go. He probably don't want to go, but they're probably making him, because, election season's coming up. Even though they don't have him in their scope to be the next president. They plan on taking him down before that actually even comes, as I predicted. That'll probably happen, likely maybe before his birthday in November. It'll be health related, of course, or at least they'll tell us that. So he ignored the people there, sent billions of dollars back then to the UKR instead of people in Ohio. Now he's doing the same thing. I forgot to bring it to you. I forgot to bring it. I'll put it up on the screen. The card for the Illuminati card, which is in my Maui video. But also, look at this picture now. I don't know how real this is. Again, this could be very much photoshopped. Came from a YouTube channel. Actually, allegedly came from a tourist who was in Hawaii, who happened to take a photograph and didn't even notice this laser that you see in this picture in the photograph, because he didn't see it with his naked eye, or he only saw it when he went home and looked at the pictures, allegedly. I thought that was an interesting one to show you. Matt Wallace tweeted, locals in Maui were refusing to sell their land to the elites. The part of the island mainly destroyed by fires was prime area right next to the lavish mega mansions. Now, lots of locals are forced to sell their land, and Maui tragically, and along with many who tragically, of course, perished in those flames. Lauer went on to say, in 2017, an extremely deadly fire destroyed many homes near Oprah's Montecito mansion, but her property remained absolutely untouched. After 2017, Oprah continued expanding her land in Montecito, California, to over 70 acres, including buying a 4-acre complex in 2019 that was destroyed by mudslides only a few weeks after the 2017 fire. People are really not liking her right now. Oprah Winfrey has been buying up land in Maui like crazy. She bought a 520-acre plot for $3.89 million in 2023. Also in 2023, she bought 330 acres for $2.47 million. How'd she get it so cheap? How'd she get all that land for so damn cheap? That's insane. That's insanely cheap to me. A 10-acre swath of land for $100,000 back in 2022. How do you get all that land? That's insane to me. That's insane. And in the last few years, she has gone from about 100 acres of land in Maui to now owning over 1,000 acres. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, fire comes and destroys many homes near her house that remains once again untouched. Does that not sound familiar? Like Montecito. And again, that was all from a tweet. Kind of interesting. And they refused to let her in with cameras. But like I said, she still got that cell phone footage of her. And so, yeah, we got the Hawaii Illuminati card. In 1993, did you know that Clinton signed a bill of an apology to the Hawaiian people for the government taking over their land 100 years prior? Bill happened to turn 77 years old on the 19th of the month, both in 7 years. Interesting. I forget where I got that from, but anyway, yeah, he turned 77. So there's that whole 7 thing again, friends. And again, we talked about the blue car, even plastic reflectors. You know, those reflectors in roads and stuff were untouched by the flames. If the heat's that hot and people were feeling the heat from the ocean when they jumped in to escape, how did it not melt those items? Just saying. Just really interesting. So where was that heat really coming from? What was it really all about? Really interesting and kind of crazy and pretty sad. Last thing I wanted to show you is this picture here of Lahaina City. Lahaina, I'll get it right. Lahaina City is perfectly circled by fire. Now look at that picture, friends. Look at it really closely. It is a perfect circle of flames. Now I'm sure they'll come up with some kind of excuse to say, oh, it's nature, or that's how it's supposed to be. But, yeah, it almost looks like it started in the very center and just went outwards in a perfect circle for some odd reason. Thought that was very interesting and wanted to share that with you. One other thing is I want to share a little bit of my love to you and thank you for hanging out with me on this edition of Tuesday's episode number 79 of predictions updates with some new predictions and such that I shared with you. On Thursday, I will do the Q&A, and usually predictions come through with the Q&A as well. You're not going to want to miss that. Don't forget to subscribe and be a part of this amazing, awesome tribe. Thank you to all my contributors who contribute to this channel again and make this very possible free content for everybody. I love you all lots. Remember to celebrate life and celebrate you. Remember to be bold, be true, be kind, but always be you because you're freaking awesome. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Much love. Namaste. Much love.